Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And welcome, one and all, to a brand new episode.
Yes, you can email us anytime, sequelrights@gmail.com, and find all of our past episodes and our new blog at sequelrights.com.
Yes, we are pulling an audible this week. You may have heard us say that we were going to talk about For the Love of Benji, but guess what, you guys? We landed an awesome interview with the composer of the brand new Benji film for Netflix. So
Benji 2018.
Yes, that's what we've been calling it on all the our spreadsheets and Google.
That's right.
Docs.
That's right.
Benji 2018.
The Benjining.
We were so lucky, actually. Eliz landed an interview with Kostas Christides, the composer in the film, and we'll have an interview with him immediately after this episode for you guys.
Yes, definitely listen to that. He's great. It was a good time. We had a really cool discussion, so you definitely want to listen to it.
Yeah. So, without further ado, let's get into Benji 2018 and watch that 2018 trailer.
You never know when you'll find someone who will change your life. I just didn't expect he'd be this furry.
Did you know this dog? He's a stray. I was trying to get him to follow us home from school. Come here. What's your name? Where'd you come from, buddy? A trash can? What are we gonna do about Mom? She's gonna freak out. We're not gonna tell her. He's just gonna stay in our room for now. Hey! Hey, Mom. Hi, Mommy. You're the best mommy of all the mommies in all the world.
What'd you break?
Nothing. What if we named him Michael Jordan? That's the dumbest name for a dog I've ever heard. Benjamin Franklin had a dog. What about Benji? He does look kind of like a Benji. He's old and new at the same time.
Woof. That looks super cute, right?
Amazing.
It is adorable. We should say up front, guys, this is kind of the first current movie that we've done. This movie came out a week ago, pretty much, and so there will be spoilers for Benji 2018. You will know what this dog is up to. So if you don't want that spoiled for you, go ahead, skip ahead to the end of the interview. The interview has no spoilers. You can hear a lot of great stuff about the composing of the film, and let's just get into these Benji spoilers, because I want to talk about this dog.
Spoilers!
So we should say from the top, this film is directed by Brandon Camp, who is Joe Camp's son. Joe Camp was the director of all the other original Benji movies.
Keeping it in the family.
And a Blumhouse production.
Yes, so it's terrifying.
The opening sequence.
The dogs levitate and speak.
The opening sequence is terrifying.
No, but it's not a horror movie. And like Brandon Camp even joked around about that. He said that like when Blumhouse said they were interested, he was like, "What?" Like he looked at their filmography and was like, "I don't know about this."
I could see the connection just because like what a badass Joe Camp doing
Exactly.
that independent I did this, I did it on my own. That's a very horror movie like style of doing things of what Carpenter did and Wes Craven, and it makes sense in a way.
Yeah.
Has Blumhouse done other like family films like this?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
they might have.
They probably have, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
but,
I'm sure that they have.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the highest profile ones that I've seen, if they have. So I think that's kind of cool. Like, why not also do tack on their low budget like money making model to a family film as well?
Yeah.
And this movie starts with an origin story.
Yeah, that we never got in the past ones.
That we know of.
Yes.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't get it in the
we're
Benji.
flipping the script.
Benji
Going out of
1974
order.
did not have this origin story.
So it's kind of this pulpy, like dog catcher comes, takes Benji's mom and Benji's brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And
really
and it's like it has like almost like chop socky like whip shots of like of the animal control guy like whipping out his hook, and then like Benji's mom like grabs it and like tries to fight it off.
It's so sad.
But then like it seems like he kicks her a little bit, but it doesn't. That's just what the sound design is.
Yeah.
And then he throws a net over a bunch of puppies, and then you see the most adorable dog in the world, this little puppy, come up and be like, oh, like, what's happening?
It is
Puppy Benji.
Puppy Benji is the cutest freaking thing
Puppy Benji, yeah,
you have ever seen.
Pudgy Benji.
It looks like a little stuffed animal. It is so cute, and he looks so sad as the animal control van is driving away, and he's like,
Yeah.
and he like chases after it for a few steps, so it's clear that he's not gonna catch up. It's heartbreaking. Like it's basically like the first 10 minutes of Up, but for Benji.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
If you don't feel sad
I
after
suppose.
watching the beginning of this movie, you're a monster and should just leave.
And then what we see is Benji basically turns into Forrest Gump and runs across the country
Yes.
and ages up to Benji form.
He goes
over
to
over the course
to
of
the
this
Antarctic.
montage. Yeah.
the prairie.
It's like when Simba walks across the log and
Yeah,
Hakuna
yeah.
Matata. Yeah, we
Yeah.
just see him getting
It's like
older
a
and
truck
older.
passes by and he gets older every time
Yeah.
the truck goes
Yeah.
by.
It's actually a cool device.
It is
Like,
cool, yeah. So he ends up in New Orleans.
Of all places.
Yes.
The land of filming tax credits.
Exactly. So there's been a lot of, mouths moving about how they really wanted to make New Orleans a part of the story. Of course, no one mentioned the incredible tax credits, but that had to
Sure.
be a part of it. But no, it's really cool. I think they did a really good
It
job.
works. It works really well.
Have you been to New Orleans?
I have not been to Nolans.
Have you?
No.
Okay, so none of us have been there, but it sure seems like they really showed what it's like.
There's a real texture to it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was a marching band and everything.
Yeah, did anybody look up Mr. Okra?
no.
So Mr. Okra is a street vendor, and he's the last of the great New Orleans street vendors. He's a real guy, and he's in this movie.
wow.
And there was a short film documentary about him a couple of years ago, and he's like iconic. He's like somebody that everybody knows in New Orleans. And this is actually going to be his last appearance because he passed away on February 15th.
Oh,
So-
R.I.P. Mr. Okra.
Yeah, but I thought it was sort of weirdly parallel because in the other Benji, there was that actress who had her last performance as
Yeah.
well. So I don't know. Don't be a
The
side character in Benji.
the Benji curse.
Towards the end of your career, don't,
Yeah.
don't
So
be
so Benji's here, and
Or do it's a delightful send off.
Yeah, true.
we meet this little kid, Carter. He's being bullied for not doing someone else's homework poorly enough.
Yeah.
And we see right away that this is not going to be like the original Benji where everything is from Benji's perspective. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, there's a lot of it that is. And so it didn't really bother me too much. But I don't know.
It kind of basically what it does is that it has this first act to make you care about the kids and like get a family and have a sense of that, and then for reasons that we'll get into, that gets taken away, and then it goes straight back to Benji's perspective.
Yes.
So it's basically there's like we see a prologue, there's some staging, and then it gets to Benji's story, where the Camp family wants this dog to fight crime.
By the way, the Camp family, no relation to Justin Camps,
No.
and no relation to Darby Camp, the young actress in this film, who
Yeah.
is one of the main little kids on Big Little Lies. She's like the
Right.
one that has really edgy taste in music.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She loves Michael Kiwanuka.
Yeah. She's also not of any relation to the
Oh,
Camp
interesting.
family.
I thought that there was maybe like a niece or something.
Nope. So yeah. So Carter lures Benji out of hiding with some strawberries that he bought from Mr. Okra.
From Mr. Okra, yeah.
And it's adorable.
Yeah, well, they have this moment on the street that's pretty ridiculous of like Benji sees Carter and then Carter sees Benji, and then it's like they're lovers seeing on the street for the first time, the way it's lit, and like there's a lot of things in this movie that are crazy, overly dramatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is one of them.
It worked for me. Everything worked for me. So we find out that these two kids have this thing where every day they go to a pawn shop and try to convince the guy to sell them back their father's watch.
Yep.
And so that just sets it up. So later
Their
we know
dead
why they're
father's
in the
watch.
Their dead father.
Yeah, you kind of find out a little more bits of information throughout, but yes, he has passed. And so they go home. Benji's still following them, and they go up to their apartment. But Benji's like, "How do I get up to the second floor?" And then he does one of the first tricks that had me going, "What?" not. Like in this movie, he pushes a dumpster that rolls under the fire escape and then climbs up it. Why are you shaking your head, Justin?
I feel like this movie should a little bit be called like Benji, Dog Genius.
Yes. yeah. Benji's like, I know how fingerprints work.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if I'm misremembering the other film, but like this movie feels a bit more with Benji like magical realism where he's clearly has some like higher level of intelligence where he can like trick all these people and set up traps and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other movie, it was kind of like he was just more being a dog and not like.
Well, it's been 40 years. Dogs have evolved.
And in this movie,
this Benji
like,
retains all the memories of previous dogs.
Benji's. That's lore. It's canon. Benji gets all of the knowledge of all previous Benjis.
He absorbs
them.
Okay, but in some level too, you kind of understand like every movie they have to find some way to up the ante a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I
I thought it was plausible. I mean, if the dumpster was empty, it could be pushed by.
Well, yeah, but then
just
he
the
figures
fact
out he
that
was
he-
a key.
yeah,
and
just-
then-
well, that's
There's
I
lots
mean,
of stuff in this film where you're like, okay, I don't think he would have known to do that.
Yeah, but I mean,
there's one point where he it's like, oh yeah, that dog has a better sense of smell than me.
Yes.
I need to
Yeah, he
bribe him.
does.
Exactly. It's like, okay, I don't know if he'd be able to figure all that stuff out.
Okay, so
It's not like, like in the first movie when Benji's like trapped in the police office, it's not
Right.
like he looks at the thing and goes, "Oh, there's a speaker and a microphone here. I'm going to turn on the switch."
I guess so.
He like does it on accident, know,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's like this is more like he has the knowledge to move the garbage can. So
yeah,
that
but
he
you
can
don't know what
climb
he's
up.
been through while he was walking on that freeway for 5 years
It
or
looked like he
whatever.
was walking in a straight line.
as a detective gets brought into this movie, other things happen, but there's a point where somebody says, that dog's not following protocol. He's following his heart.
That was the best line of the movie by far.
And so Justin, he's just following his heart.
I know.
That's
I know.
You could have superpowers as well if
God.
you weren't just so
I
cold
just
and dead
followed my
inside.
heart.
Can't believe you're so jaded. God, how can you
I
not
just
love
didn't,
this?
No, I didn't think the movie was bad. I just
No, I
didn't like the magical realism as much.
Yes.
There's
and-
no magical realism. He's just smarter.
No, and then also I
don't even
didn't
know
think the
magical
dog was
realism.
as expressive as previous Benji.
No,
Oh.
he's not.
So that's another issue I have. But
Oh my God, you guys are.
I didn't hate the
assholes.
movie. I just was like, I don't want to see all these clearly fake setup tricks for him to do. I don't know.
But he actually did them. It's not like it was CGI.
I know, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just like I liked the first movie how it was like, this is a real dog doing real dog stuff. This is not a real dog doing real dog stuff in this movie.
Well,
But it is a real dog.
Yeah, but
neither is the second
but the way
one.
it's presented in the film, like a dog would not just be doing this shit in real life.
I guess.
Like
What
this,
dogs
this-
do you know that do
this-
that shit?
Service dogs?
This
What?
movie
Service dogs?
This
Not like
movie
that, no.
builds on the fantasy of like every kid, whereas like my dog is my best friend. He's smart. If
Yeah.
I was in trouble, he would come and save me.
Right.
Because that's what this dog does. This dog is better than a police force, better than a mom. This dog knows everything about everything.
I'm just saying in the terms of the
Benji.
premise of the original Benji
Yeah.
and, what that movie was about, this movie is not that
No.
for me.
But in a throwback to the original Benji, so we get these kids. They want to keep Benji. Same type of deal. The mom, they actually have a good like single mom type character where
Nikki from Lost.
yes,
Buried alive.
Yeah.
and she's drives an ambulance, like single mom, and she's like, we don't have to, I can't you guys can't take care of the dog. It's a lot of work. We can't have the dog. Like she's saying it for very practical reasons of why they can't have this dog. And then the kids are super mean to her. Like the kids are little shits to her.
Yeah.
And then there's this scene where she's like, I'm gonna call the pound, and they're like, they're gonna kill him. And she's
She
like,
doesn't say that. The kid, you're making it sound like she said
No,
that.
no,
The
yeah.
kid says that in response.
So
Yeah.
what his response is to walk out into the rainiest alley
Yeah.
that you've ever seen. To like, Benji, just leave. Like my mom's gonna kill you.
Yeah. We skipped over another scene with
Yeah.
Benji doing crazy shit where he
Yes.
here's the mom talking to herself, or talking to the picture of her dead husband or whatever.
Right.
And she goes to sleep, and he goes into the room, and he covers her up with a blanket, turns the light off, reads her a story, and then cooks breakfast in the morning.
Okay, half of those things were fake, just so you don't. Just so you know that Justin's continuing to be a jerk. Okay, like
which ones were fake? I don't know.
So you're on the mom side, like you sympathized with her more than the kids.
I think that the kids said some there were some things that she was just trying to be practical about it.
Yeah.
And like they're like, you hate us and like you're terrible. Like one point where the daughter says in this movie, she's like, I think mom went away as soon as dad got sick, and sometimes I miss her more.
Yeah, that was messed up.
I guess, but it's just the truth, and they don't say that to her. They say that separately, and she sees a recording of it later.
So spoiler alert, and a throwback to the original Benji, these kids get kidnapped. And so at one point she sees them, like she gets a cell phone, like she's trying to find the kids. When she gets the cell phone video of them when they first meet Benji, and they're just talking shit about her. Like, oh, mom hates fun. She'd never let us have this dog.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys think that's funny. Like I had like no sense that any of that was funny at all.
I don't know.
Ugh, all right.
So yes, Benji gets put out into the rain. He's not welcome in the house. The boy is incredibly upset about this because he really wants the dog. He wants the friendship, and you can tell that these kids need that.
He does the whole like, get out of here, Benji, and then he goes, I love you, Benji. I did think it was like they have to take him out in the right now while it's pouring rain.
Well, because he didn't want the mom to take him to the pound.
Yeah.
So.
And it was like he took him out into like a it was a noir alley.
Yeah. That was pretty sad though. Benji was like, but why?
It was the saddest. Yeah, so I jumped the gun here with this kidnapping, but the kids go back to the pawn shop, and the guy's like, I sold the watch.
Get out. But he's really trying to help them.
Yeah.
He's being robbed.
He's being robbed, and the guys are wearing masks, and the kids see their face, and then so they had to be, they got to be kidnapped by a guy who looks like Draco Malfoy.
I know.
How dare you insult Draco Malfoy that way?
I was watching the beginning of this movie with some friends, and they were all like, whoa, I thought that was going to be Tom Felton underneath there.
Ugh, how dare you. Tom Felton is beautiful. Anyway.
I totally thought it was Tom Felton. The first 5 minutes
everyone
I saw him.
that I was watching.
Just because he has blonde hair? Anybody can have blonde hair.
Yeah, he's got the same body type.
Yes.
I look at Tom Felton's body a lot.
But we do get a fun surprise with the other kidnapper. He is, I don't know the actor's name.
Angus Sampson
from Fargo Season 2 and the Insidious films.
Yeah.
I believe Blumhouse movies.
Yeah.
Blumhouse staple, great actor. Really happy to see him in this movie.
He's doing a fun New Orleans accent.
Yep.
He's like the brother that's being pushed around by the... Yeah.
He's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, he's like and multiple times in the movie, he's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we taking these kids? Like, it's a hard role, but he pulls it off. It's great.
Yeah, and these robbers, I think, are scarier than the kidnappers in the original Benji, and they're definitely more, like, gritty and realistic. Like, there's not... Like, there's a little bit of a good cop, bad cop thing happening, but they're both bad. There's not one of them is, like, bumbly and, like, jokey like that guy who thought ghosts were real in the first Benji was. Like, these guys are serious. These kids are in real danger.
One of them is bumbly in that he gets trapped in a barn by a dog.
Yep.
But it's not, like...
The other one's bumbly in that he gets trapped in a bus by a dog.
Lots of traps.
Yeah.
They also have a Rottweiler that's on their side.
That gets trapped in a tube.
An evil Rottweiler with a milky eye.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I don't know if they there's... So, one thing that it seems to maintain from the other Benji movies is that Benji can talk to dogs. Yes. There is a dog language.
Yep.
And this Rottweiler gets subdued at some point, which I'm not quite sure
Just because the other dog is bigger, right?
But then he like turns on his master.
Okay, like you're not explaining. Okay, so Benji enlists the help of this stray
Trash
dog
dog.
that is very large and
Throwback
mudded.
to the first 2 movies, right? He meets a trash dog.
Yes, he
in
typically
the
has
first movie.
another dog that
and then
helps
had
him,
and then had a trash dog in Greece that helped him fight crime.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that dog, they tricked a Rottweiler into falling into the water, but then that big mutt steps on the Rottweiler's neck, and I was like, it's like Chuck Norris, like he steps on its neck, and that's like a sign of
He's like,
superiority.
"Stop it."
Yeah,
No.
and then the Rottweiler after that listens to them. So I mean, they did a thing to
Dog communication.
Yeah, it's probably a thing. We
That
don't
makes
know.
more sense.
There's a detective that shows up in this movie that Benji is a better police officer than he is.
Yes, definitely.
I like that. There's lots of parallels to the original film.
There
Here.
is.
Like, when the kids get kidnapped, they drive off and race to this like dilapidated building
That looks like Benji's original house.
Yeah, and if you look, there's even like a little can. There was like
Yeah.
a little can of pudding or whatever,
Yep.
like on the floor there, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
We also, in a lot of interviews, Brandon Camp has talked about how influenced he is by E.T., which I think is pretty apparent. You've got like
Yes.
Benji's following the trail of strawberries instead of Reese's Pieces, and there's even like a super obvious nod where Benji is like in a bunch of stuffed animals, like trying to fit in,
Hiding from the mom
Yeah.
because they're not allowed to have them. I believe it is the poster frame for Netflix.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it when the mom discovers Benji with the boy. He goes, "It's not a real dog. It's a stuffed animal, an animatronic one."
Yeah.
I was like, "That's great." I wish she had believed that.
Yeah, and we get so the kids are kidnapped. We get another scene where like in the first film where Benji runs back to the family to try to like
Yep. But
Bring
Benji
them
makes a
over.
smart call. He steals evidence from the crime scene
Yep.
and then makes the police chase him to get it back. And he
That's
chases
right.
him to the house that they had taken the kids to. And these criminals are smart enough to have already left.
Yeah, I did like that. There was like there were these parallels, but then they also turned stuff on their head. Like,
Yeah.
the kids got kidnapped immediately,
Yeah.
and they moved to a different location. It's
Yeah, the kids get kidnapped like 40 minutes in, which is
Yep.
much earlier than I had expected.
Which is the thing
Yeah.
they were talking about. Like, they set up the kids, they make you care about them. They actually give them a pretty compelling backstory, and then they get kidnapped, and then it's basically Benji's perspective, where people are like, what? Like, what's he doing? Like,
Yeah.
he's trying to say something?
The mom and the detective are super mean to Benji because there's nothing at the house when they get there. And
Right.
Benji's still trying to tell them, like, look at this pudding can on this hatch and look at this tarp and look at, he's trying
Yeah.
to tell them all these things. And they're like, go away, Benji. I never want to see you again.
what?
You
I
wasted
thinking
our
following
time.
the
Like,
dog?
yeah, they're yelling at him as if they're yelling at him as if he's a human being. Because
Yeah.
to
Well,
be
I mean,
fair,
it's one of those things where
he's
she's more
been acting like a human being.
Yeah, it's one of those things where she's more frustrated with herself and that she took the time to follow the dog for an hour instead of looking for the kids.
yeah.
So then Benji goes back to the shop. No, this is after that. Sorry, at some point, as Tyler referenced, Benji does save the shop owner by using a skeleton key in a door and then
And
freeing him.
the shop owner, you can just hear his voiceover from behind the
funny.
thing.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Oh, come on, puppy! Like,
Yeah.
You got
come on,
this.
come
Come
on,
on,
you got this,
puppy.
you got this.
Come on,
No,
puppy!
don't
Oh,
stop.
save me, puppy!"
Come on, doggy. I did think that was really funny.
It was pretty funny.
They're just like, just vamp. He's still trying. He's trying to unlock it. No, he'll get it next time.
Oh,
Vamp, keep
come
vamping,
on,
keep vamping.
puppy!
So, like we've seen before, Benji gets really depressed after the mom sends him away, and he's just kind of like giving up all hope. And then somehow he just gets a brilliant idea.
I know, trash dog.
Yeah. So the trash dog has a much bigger nose and therefore is probably a better tracker. So he lures the trash dog.
That's how it works.
I mean, I think there are some dogs that are better than others.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the other movie used the Doberman, and we made the comment. I was like, I don't think Dobermans are good at this.
Yeah. So, I mean, who knows if this, whatever that dog is
Yeah.
good. But, I mean, it's a lot bigger than Benji. So,
Sure.
he lures it to the house with a hot dog. And then they find, like, this trap door that leads to an attic.
This is the most Scooby-Doo Benji that we've watched.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, it takes place in New Orleans, Louisiana. And as we all know from True Detective Season 1, all of Louisiana has a scary set of tons tunnels underneath
Catacombs.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, like... The robbers have taken the children. The robbers have taken the children to Carcosa. Okay.
The whole movie, they're just like, we just need to get upriver. We're going to go upriver,
Yep.
and we're going to go through these tunnels, and then we're going to escape upriver.
Yeah.
So Benji and Mutt Dog, who never really gets a name, they chase the children to the docks. And eventually Mom and Detective follow, and eventually we get a big confrontation at the docks. Basically, the fatter, dumber brother has decided that he's going to take the money and the kids and ditch the mean brother on shore. And then...
And they hire the worst...
the worst boat captain.
The worst river captain ever. He hears sirens and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And then guns it.
Yeah.
But they have not detached from the dock.
Rookie mistake.
And then everyone falls over, and nobody says, "Are you an idiot?"
Yeah,
So funny when they did that. Yeah.
And then there's a whole set piece where Benji tightrope walks across
Yes.
the rope that's still attached to the dock, and Bear Gerhardt is trying to like
harpoon him with a harpoon. It was horrifying.
God.
But so at some point, Benji jumps on the guy holding the harpoon, and the guy like slaps him across the boat, and he hits the wall of the boat in a horrifying... This is even worse than when Tiffany got kicked.
Yeah.
Benji hits the steel wall and falls to the ground. It looks like he's totally dead, and it's horrifying. But this somehow... the kids hit the robber over the head with a fire extinguisher.
the boat captain.
Oh, the boat captain.
Yeah.
And then they get away from the guy.
Because
and-
Benji
yeah.
knocked the robber into the river.
water.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Okay. So yeah, at that point,
And
the
cop-
kids are saved.
The cop got Draco.
Yeah.
Yes, the cop got the other guy with the help of the two bigger dogs.
That's right. Yeah, the Doberman turns on Draco, and then they corner him, and the cop's there to like throw him against the wall, read him his rights.
Captured.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's good except Benji is dead, and so
It fades to white, and it's like all dogs do go to heaven.
yeah, so the kids bring Benji out into the grass, and the mom and the kids are crying over Benji's dead body, and it's so horrible. But then, of course, Benji's eyes flicker, and he's alive! Yay!
He's been reincarnated.
With all knowledge of former Benjis, he knows guns are bad. He knows how DNA works.
So they're happy, and the mom says, of course, we can keep him now. And we find out the Mutt's a girl, and yeah.
And do they feel love?
Do they fall in love?
Do they feel love, though?
They feel. Oh, they do feel.
They
I
do
see what
feel
you-
love. So
I
we get a
just
final...
stamped all over your joke.
I was like, do they feel love?
A final little montage with the amazing theme song from the original Benji, I Feel Love, and we see Benji and Mutt Dog basically rolling around in the grass. And so I was like, are they
Frolicking.
implying that they're in love now? Like,
I got the feeling that was a female dog, and then there.
yeah, but like, what about Tiffany?
there is no
Tiffany
Tiffany.
dead.
This is a straight up reboot.
Yeah, but what about the sequel where Tiffany comes? Sad.
No, well,
I
maybe that'll
will
be the
s-
storyline
I
for
will say,
Benji
as much
2020.
as much of Justin and I were talking about like how this movie was a little ridiculous and a little over the top. The opening sequence of this movie made me tear up.
It was so
like
sad.
when they had that, and I think a lot of that, the music of that helped.
Yeah.
I mean, like the music of this is great, and like there's like as a kids movie, like we're talking about it compared to the other Benji movies, where the other Benji movies there's an art film feel
Right.
to them, like where there is. Justin and I watched the second one where we didn't understand Greek because Benji would not be able to understand that.
Yep.
And so like that, those are the choices that we made. And so going straight to this is different. That being said, for 2018 and a animal friendly, family friendly movie, I think that there's a lot that's great about this movie.
Yeah,
I think
like the
there's a lot-
dog doesn't
yeah.
talk.
Yes. Like there's a lot of things that it does feel Scooby-Doo and it does feel classic, and there's a ton of throwbacks. Like you said, there's things that reference the original and then kind of turn it on its head, and there's a lot of love in how this came together and how it's presented.
Yeah, and it's great because there's no CGI mouth moving. There's no voiceover. It's just the dog doing dog things, even though Justin doesn't think that. And
My dog tucks me in every night.
I mean, so I mean, was the that opening scene the only time that you felt any emotion or teared up? Not
in
at
your
the
life?
Not at the end when Benji hit the wall, or when the kid had to leave him in the rain. Like,
Nah.
oh my god,
The kid in the rain was like the most like Hot Topic emo like frame. I was like, this is a little much.
you guys are monsters.
Yeah. Also, the fact that they were like, "I love you, Benji," after
Yeah.
they knew him for like a day. I don't know.
Also,
Camps is so jaded about
my
this.
God.
Like, I think it's because
I didn't hate this movie, you
I
guys.
know.
I just don't like it as much as the first one. Okay.
Cam spent all day sleeping.
so we have some songs in this movie, which is sort of something other than the one I Feel Love song. They didn't do that in the other movie. We have this I Love My Dog song by Cat Stevens, which was interesting.
Too.
While they were giving Benji a bath, it was I think the lyric was I love my dog as much as I love you. Okay.
Yep, weird.
That song is. I was like, this is a real song.
It was
By
one of
Cat
the things
Stevens?
that they did allude to was like Benji came in. They're like, oh, he's a stray. Oh, he smells terrible. Like, we need to give it like. And like it was like ostensibly that's the first bath that Benji had in his life, and so that's enough to like for him to give a shit about them. Like that made sense to me.
Yeah. There's also this song Almost Home that keeps coming back because Benji's almost home.
It's almost home. He
and
just
then
has to solve a kidnapping.
at the end of
home. Yeah.
the movie, we get bloopers.
Yeah, did you watch through the end
I did
credits?
not
credits.
see bloopers.
There's bloopers, man.
Just one blooper, really. So basically, you get a little taste of how many times they had to do certain scenes, and we see the big mutt going for the hot dog like 6 or 7 times, and
my God.
either taking the hot dog and immediately running away, or just running like off camera or up to the camera, or Benji running after him, and it was a huge mess. And you just hear the director at the end go, "Let's do it again."
It was really funny. I thought it was kind of cool, actually.
That's awesome. I need to revisit.
I just want to see more, on these movies where they have these trained dogs doing crazy stuff. I would just love to see more special features like that. But
So, what do we think of this movie overall? Do we have a rating system?
yeah,
How many empty hot dog wrappers would you give this movie?
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 10,
What?
Ooh.
What did you give the other one?
like 6 and 7.
Oh my gosh.
This one's just not as good, but I didn't hate it, so
Yeah.
I give it 4.
I'm going to go 5.
You guys are
Fair.
heartless monsters. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Oh!
Yikes! I did not think it was better than the other ones. What did you give the other ones?
I gave the other one an 8. The original one, which is the only one that we have released an episode of. So.
You like this one better than the original?
For today's children, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Whatever, you like
today's
missing
children-
you like
today's
missing
children
in action
suck.
3, okay? Like
Because it was the best
That's
one.
what.
this one
You will never win an argument. I'm
the
kidding.
kid I thought that the kid characters were good, and you cared about them more than the kids in the original movie.
Yeah, well,
And they were
because the original
smart.
movie's about Benji, so that's
Yeah.
why this movie is about like a super dog genius.
super baby genius dogs.
Genius dog. Yeah, so that's Benji 2018. Please stay tuned here. We've got an exciting interview coming up with the composer Kostas Christides.
A man who made me cry.
Yeah. Yeah, he was great. And in the meantime, Eliz, where can people get in touch with us?
You can email us, sequelrights@gmail.com, and find all of our past episodes at sequelrights.com. I also started updating the blog on that website. So we have, insider looks at the Child Star check-in, and some more in-depth reviews of like the hard copy media and special features that we've been getting, and hopefully more cool content. So please look at that.
She's killing
Absolutely,
it over there.
yeah.
So check
Lots
it
of
out.
good stuff over there.
And then twitter.com/sequelrights, as well as Sequel Rights on Facebook and Instagram.
And once you're done enjoying this fantastic interview, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. So we'll return next week with our regular scheduled program with For the Love of Benji. But in the meantime, Listen in on this interview with Kostas Christides, the composer of Benji 2018. All right, Eliz and I are here with the composer of the 2018 Benji film for Netflix, Kostas Christides. Kostas, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I really enjoy, being here with you.
Great. Okay, so just to start out, can you tell us about your background and how you got started as a composer?
Yeah, well, actually, I studied piano and classical music since I was 6 years old, back in Thessaloniki, Greece, where I grew up. And I did all the theory and harmonies in the conservatorium of one of the conservatoriums in the city. And about when I was 14, my brother brought a soundtrack at home, LP, back then. Yep. So now, we say our age, though. So anyways, that soundtrack was Star Wars. What else? And then I listened to it, I was like, of course, blown away. And then I started collecting soundtracks a bit, and I became kind of, obsessed with this. And my weekly allowance was going to soundtracks, everything, seriously. I was getting it on Friday night, Saturday morning, I was going downtown in my city to the LP stores, and I was getting all the soundtracks. So by the age of 17, I had about 1,500 to 1,700 soundtracks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and there were, a lot. So I really I really wanted to write music for films because I said it's an orchestral sound. Back then, that was the major thing, orchestral sound. I love the music, and it's something that is quite modern, and people can hear it because they can hear it through the movies, where the classical world was more, limited, and what I did, I went to England. I studied there at London College of Music, piano and composition. And then I was very fortunate to be accepted at the USC film scoring course back in 97, which it's only 19, 20 people per year. Wow. And it was, and it is, I think, the best film scoring course in the world, because you have actual film composers, big time composers here and from Hollywood. It's not necessarily that they're great teachers, but being there and telling you about their experience and get you in the recording sessions and stuff, this is the best thing you can have, as a student. So I came here in 97, and through that course, I met Christopher Young. Christopher Young is a very well-known composer in Hollywood. He did big movies like from 80s, like Hellraiser, Hellbound. He did Species. He did Spider-Man 3, Entrapment, Hurricane, The Grudge, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Sweet November. Oh, yeah. So anyways, in 98, when I finished school, 6 months after I finished school, I started working in his studio, and for years, I became his right hand, so I was like I worked with him about 35, 36 projects. And then I decided, after a few years, start to, getting detached from him and doing my own stuff, which, of course, at the beginning was short films, and then low-budget films, and then I started getting, more and more work. And then what I did about 2006, that started, I looked back to my roots, and I started getting films from Greece as well, because I wanted to have like both worlds, because such a different filmmaking in Europe, because of course of the culture, because of the money, because there are so many differences, but it's at the same time is very, very intriguing and interesting to work on those kinds of films. And then to tell you how I reached to score Benji, it was in 2008. I worked with Christopher Young, this composer, on a film that was called Love Happens with Jennifer Aniston and Aaron Eckhart. Mm-hmm. where the director was Brandon Camp, the director of Benji. So we worked very close, with Brandon on this project, and at the end, of the project, it was Chris's movie, right? Christopher Young's movie, and I was working on the studio. But then we started, we became really good friends with the director, and he decided on the next project that he had, which it was almost 9 years later, that he's gonna, hire me to do this, and it was, I cannot be more happy about this.
That's great. So what kind of was your process when you started working on this film? Did you have any affinity for the original Benji films? Had you seen them before?
Yeah, I'll be very honest with you. I hadn't seen them before. I knew about Benji, yes. But because I had that friendship with Brandon, he was talking to me about his thoughts from the very, very beginning. I'm talking about 2 years before he even starts, shooting.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And then when he started writing, I thought, yeah, now it's time to see all of the Benjis,
Yeah.
So I saw all of them. And it's as they call it, actually, the family of Brandon Camp. His father did the original one.
Yes.
John Camp.
Yeah.
And it's called an underdog movie because it was, rejected by Hollywood. They made the first one. His father made it, and Hollywood said, just go back to Texas. As they say the story. But he took it town by town, and he was showing the film, and then he became this really nationwide sensation, and they made more. The process, how was the process? When we were talking about the music, even when he was writing, we went through so many different ideas, and it was like back and forth. It was like a pinball, think about it, but we were always had at our minds that we need to do like a bridge between the old-time movies, the ones that we grew up with, and, nowadays. And we decided that it's going to be a score that, it will have it will be based on orchestra, live orchestra, and it will be based on melodies. We need melodies, and generally the action scenes, because it's an action film, it has a lot of action. I can tell you, I've written so many notes, guys. I think I've written more notes in one film than the rest of my films before they were.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And we said it's going to be an orchestral score, and the action scenes are going to be based on the live orchestral stuff, not like on MIDI or loops or electronica and stuff. So yeah, that's how we approach the essence of the score.
Okay.
Yeah, because going like the orchestral route is a lot different than like the original Yule Box scores. Was there ever any point during the composing where you guys were looking at doing something more like that, or was it always going the orchestral route?
No, we were. That idea was like early in the process, as I told you, when we were going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
What we would try to do is like achieving that with the songs. I don't know if you've seen the movie, there are like 3 songs that connect us back into that world, and the songs were really great. We had the original one, of course.
Oh, of course.
And there were the 2 more that they were written for the movie, and one was written for the movie, I think. Yes. That was the connection with that kind of scoring. The orchestral approach was connection with the period of the movies that they were the previous ones, the 70s, 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was the connection.
Okay. Just wondering, since you mentioned that you watched all the older Benji films, what did you think of For the Love of Benji, since it takes place in Greece and you're from there?
Brana had talked to me about it back when we were doing Love Happens. Like, I've been to Athens. And I said, well, why? Because he said, well, my father did Benji, and we were scoring, and we were scoring. We were filming Benji. How can I not love it? You see the country back then, which, I was alive, but it's like how can I say that? It's like you take a pill and you transform back in, you go through a day and you go back in time.
Okay.
And now, and I watched it, as I told you, I watched it when I knew I'm going to do the new Benji, And it was like, is that dog really gonna be living today? This dog, I know it's in my places, it's in my country, which is very weird, how they chose Greece,
Yeah.
But of course, I love the character, and I feel very, very privileged to be part of this kind of, film history,
Yeah.
Again, it's not a Star Wars movie, of course, we all know, but it's a character that, most of Americans, if you ask them, or even, Europeans, they know it.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course.
That's something.
Okay. So what were some of the goals of the score? What did you want to accomplish?
Yeah, when we were doing, when I started, actually scoring the movie, I was going under a lot of pressure, I have to tell you, because we were trying to find the theme. And it's funny how it works sometimes. Brandon is very detailed about the score. And that was the thing that I was kind of, a little nervous, because I know him from the previous movie we worked with. He's very, very detailed. So, as I said, I came up with a theme that I presented to him. He loved it, like the first idea that I had. And then I started developing it. And then we were playing with it. And it's funny, we went through a circle. We made it very long, very complicated. then we came back to the beginning. And then we said, okay, we better go back. I mean, he was kind of guiding me, to be honest with you, And it's good that we did that. We had time, we spent about 2 to 3 weeks on the theme, just the main theme, And it was good that we did that, because that gave me then the flexibility to take that theme and stretch it, make it faster, make it different orchestration. So it was a good, let's say, at the beginning, we see an intro of the movie, and then we go into the main titles, which is the theme, which is a very simple theme with a guitar and the strings, and that gave me the flexibility then to play with this.
Yeah.
To manipulate it the way I want. And then I use it throughout the film in many variations, which probably sometimes, the audience might not get it directly, but you can, somehow get it subconsciously. And I love doing that when I'm scoring a film, like to have 2-3 themes and use them all the time, like in a different ways,
Yeah, I loved that there are moments in the film where it almost stretches to this, like, soaring superhero theme for Benji a couple times.
Yeah. We have the hero theme. Yeah, the hero theme. It's first time actually. It's when he's. Can we say, or it's maybe
Yeah.
we should,
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. It's when they get he's chasing the track, with the kids, and that's when it's the very first time that we really bring it big, and they're very epic, 80s, 90s score,
Yeah.
And then I use that like when Benji really takes a handle on the situation.
Okay.
Nice.
So what was kind of your favorite scene in the movie, or one of your favorite themes?
One of my favorite scenes that I worked is there are two. I love the opening and the main titles. You know, I really like it because I like the cinematography on this movie a lot, and it was very difficult. You know, it has to do with animals, non-talking animals, which is, you know, you have to get that from, and then that was what Brando was master on it. You know, this film, like getting like a story from non-speaking, you know, creatures, and I love the opening. The opening reminds me so much of, you know, the 80s movies, you know, how it opens and the main titles. And it was a great thing, you know, for a composer to write a piece without some kind of restrictions. It's like the main titles. But then my other favorite scene that I was, let's say, I composed it and I said at the end, yeah, man, I wanted really a long time to write a cue like that. It was the very first big action scene, you know, when, you know, they go and they kidnap the kids, you know, and Benji's chasing the van, and that's a very long scene. That's a 5.5 minutes, and it goes through different, you know, sections and emotions. I mean, it's an energetic scene, but it allowed me to do so many different, you know, stuff, but at the same time underlined by a sound that it gave a cohesiveness, and that was the most challenging thing, anyways, through the score. And I have to say, when Brandon came and he listened to this, that was the very first action scene I did. I was really shaking in my boots, guys. You know, because it's a very long scene, and you know, but it was like a home run. Here, like, he gives few details to change, and that was it, you know. And that's my favorite, you know, like scene to score. I don't know, you know, I love other action stuff that I did even later, but I don't know, maybe that was because the first one, as you see, I told you the two first scenes, the one that's more mild thematic, like the opening, and then the big first action, that it was, you know, the first action, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry to turn it off.
Okay, so like you mentioned, Benji doesn't speak, and so I think the audience really depends on the score to tell them about the scene and what's going on a lot more than in a regular dialogue film.
Right.
So how did you approach that differently than other projects you've worked on?
Well, you know, first of all, when this is happening, you have a lot of more of music, you know, because as you said, either you have to go parallel with the scene and approach it and prepare the audience for something that happened. You know, there were a lot of moments like that. Or we were playing against the scene. You know, we would like things to surprise the audience. You know, the main thinking on my approach was that I should be very careful, even though we need music, that we don't, how can I say, when we talk a lot and we don't say anything, how can I, you know, we don't go into blah, blah, blah with the music.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Even when we have simple scenes, transitional stuff, and we put music there, because sometimes, you know, we need to have something underlined, we're not just making the audience tired by listening, because, you know, if the audience gets tired of the music, then it's going to filter it out all of a sudden. You know, it's like living next to the airport. After 2 weeks, you don't listen, you don't hearing the airplanes anymore. You know, the visitor comes and says, "Are you bothered by this?" And you go, "What? Oh yeah, there's an airplane." You know, that's the same thing that happens in a lot of movies nowadays. You know, they have a lot of music and then you just don't feel anything after a bit. You know,
right.
So that was the approach. Yes, having more music, being careful not to, you know, just saying more than we need to, and a lot of times we went with the scene, a lot of times we went against the scene.
Great.
So I saw on your Facebook that you recorded the score in Slovakia. So how did that come about, and what was that experience like for you?
Yes, I have to tell you, for a composer, it's a very solitude job. How can I say? You're by yourself. You're not on the set. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is on the set. And even the editor, who's going to work by himself, and the director afterwards, he's on the set a lot of times. Everybody. Composer by himself in his studio. He's the last one. So I have to say, even when I was working with Chris Young. In huge budget films like Spider-Man 3 or Hurricane, and you work hours and hours, sleepless days you go by. This is your your cake, and you pray that there is budget, because a lot of times there is no budget and you have to produce everything in the computer. You pray that you have budget to record with a live orchestra, and we did. And Brandon really pushed for it with Blumhouse, the company who did the production, that we record full symphonic orchestra. We recorded the score. I mean, we did something really crazy. We recorded 47 minutes of music in one day.
Whoa!
Action. I mean, the orchestra really enjoyed it because it was very, happening score here. Of course, I know at the end they probably hated me because they were so tired, it was exhausting. But I have to say it was, and I traveled just for one day to Slovakia. I left Los Angeles, I arrived there on Saturday night. On Sunday, we recorded the whole day we were recording. I think it was like 10, 11 hours. And then on Monday, I took the plane and I came back. And why did I do that? We can do that remote. I can be here and, listen to the orchestra through a system, a source connect, it's called, in perfect stereo, and give my directions from here. But no, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be in the room. We had I think it was, for most of the sessions, it was 85 people orchestra. It's a big orchestra. That's without percussion, that's only strings, woodwinds, brass. And then I think for the last 4 hours, we had a smaller section for the more, intimate and quiet scenes. And what can I tell you? This is my, as much tired as you are, or, you have a lot of pressure during the recording session. You are always with a smile. You have there, as many times as you do it. I've done it many, many times, Steve. Every single time. You're looking at these people. It's 85 people. It's the engineers, everything. If they play your music, you go, oh my God. It's like sometimes you have to keep your mind really focused, so you're not just smiling and then you don't pay attention to the details. It's really, it's a drug. I have to tell you, it's a drug. I loved it going there, and I decided from now on, even if I have one day recording sessions, I'm just gonna go. To Europe. I don't care, it's such, instead of being here in the room and you don't have a visual contact with the players and just, through only audio, try to communicate. I said, no, I'll be going there. Even the travel, it's a kind of a relaxing, period. After a while, all this pressure, you're traveling in an airplane, you cool down, and then you go to the recording session. And the orchestra, fantastic. We recorded at Bratislava, as you said, in Slovakia, and I've worked with them a lot of times in the past.
Okay, great.
Well, it turned out really great, I have to say.
Thank you very much.
So what else about this project do you want people to know? Is there an important aspect that we haven't covered yet?
Well, I want people to watch it, and I guarantee that the kids will love it, because as a good friend of mine, just pointed out that he came to the premiere, who works in the film business, and he said, well, this is a family film that hasn't been done for a long time. It's really a story about friendship of animals and kids, that it really resonates at the hearts of the kids, and again, it's not a speaking dog, or it's something realistic. That's it. There's nothing like fake on it, and it will really it will be and it doesn't have violence, it has a little bit of controlled violence, let's say, it's nothing that will scare the kids and they won't be watching it, and at the same time, it's a film for the adults too, I think, and that was the purpose of Brandon Camp when he did it, that it's a film for adults so that they see it, and a lot of people have fond memories about this character, and we hope that this is gonna touch their heart again, in their inner childhood, and they will watch it and they will enjoy it, because let's be honest, we live in the era of numbers, and they will evaluate that, and if it goes well, we'll have more adventures of Benji, and that would be great. I would love to score that dog, which, by the way, I met Benji, the dog, actually in the premiere first time, and I was like, I couldn't hold myself. I was hiding it. I had him in my home like for 3 months, and I didn't, know the dog.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I hope people will, watch it and I think they will like it because it's a simple, straightforward story. A lot of gimmicks and fake stuff, and it's about friendship between kids and animals.
Okay,
that's great. Do you know if there is any plan at this point to release the score, make it available anywhere?
Yes, I'm talking with Netflix, who owns the right, to see how we're going to do that, because I think they have I think they just came out with CD, but with the songs and other songs from the other movies, I think. And we'll see how this is going to work. Sometimes they don't want the score to come immediately, or I don't know, So I need to figure that out. I would love to bring that score out. Seriously, it's. I don't talk about my music like that, but I'm really proud about this work because it's the outcome of a really fantastic working relationship with the director, and I really say that, truthfully, I'm just not saying that for saying that. I love Brandon Camp, and we were really in a very, very good collaboration in this one.
Okay,
awesome.
Great.
So I'll let you know, when the score and when it comes out, I'll let you know, and of course I'll send you.
Oh, that would be
thanks.
great.
Okay, so what's up next for you?
Well, the next thing is we'll see. I'm in the talks about doing a TV series. And I think it's gonna be in Netflix. I don't know.
Okay.
And then I'm up for like 2 project films that if they happen, they will happen very quickly during the summertime.
Okay.
And one it's a horror movie, and the other one it's a drama. As I told you, I work with Greek directors, and one of these directors in Greece, which I worked with him in 2 films. He's very talented as well, and like Brandon, and he the last 2 films he did in Greece, they were the biggest successes in Greece for the last 10 years, box office. Very, very. One of them, in one of these films, we had a great opportunity again, to record live, and and it was a great experience. And he's writing a new one now, and he's about to finish it. So I think I'm gonna go a little bit into European mode for the summer, and we'll see. We're out there and hunting down projects, and I hope we'll be very busy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kostas, for being here with us today. It's been such a treat getting to talk to you.
No, thank you very much, guys. I really loved your questions and the discussion we had.
Thanks.
Excellent.
And where can people follow you, keep in touch with you if they want to reach out with any
my website, which it's going to be out like in a month. We reconstruct now. It's www.kostas Kostas, Christides, CHRISTIDES.com, or on my Facebook composer's page, which is Kostas Christides Das Film Composer on Facebook.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again so much. It's been so great talking to you. We really
Thank
appreciate it.
you very much, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.